Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Rob Langrick, Chief Product Advocate of CFA Institute, and really happy to welcome you to this feature today. For this, the fifth in the series, we're focusing on the role of the Credit Rating Analyst. So we do have three esteemed guests who have kindly volunteered to join us in personal capacity to be here today to talk about the credit rating role. So let's kick things off, and I thought I'd start with intros. So what I want to do, I want to learn how each of our guests wound up doing credit ratings, when and why you did CFA program, and give us a bit of a flavor for a typical day in the life. Let's begin with you, Matt.
Absolutely. So I had been working in Washington D.C. as a research analyst. I was actually looking at sell side equity analyst jobs because that's just kind of what I thought of and what I knew. But actually, in a great plug, actually for the CFA career site, I posted my resume. A recruiter from S&P reached out to me from the CFA career site, um, and it ended up being a great fit. I hadn't considered rating agencies and didn't have prior experience in credit, but it ended up being a great fit. We meet with management teams and investors. We write research reports, prepare materials for committees. So it's a varied workload. I also currently oversee four junior analysts covering a portfolio of about 40 companies. And there's different kinds of opportunities. S&P is a huge company. So is Moody's. Um, there's all kinds of opportunities to get involved across the company with different initiatives. So
Sarah, over to you.
Sure. So I started more on the equity side before moving to the credit side about 4 years ago. So I was in uni during the 2008 global financial crisis. I obviously saw that ratings had a very important role to play in financial markets. So I always thought that was an interesting part of the market to be involved in, and I wanted to be a part of that. Um, with regard to the CFA, I started that journey a few years into my career back in 2012, I think, for level one. And I took a very long break, about 10 years before completing the last two levels. For me, it was really about getting a 360 view of finance. Plus, of course, the CFA program recognized globally opens up so many career opportunities, and I wanted that. In terms of a typical day in my role as a credit rating analyst at Fitch, of course, every day is different. My day usually starts with reviewing financial news and market updates to stay informed about anything that might impact my rating portfolio. I spend a significant part of my day on pure analytical work, and that's not surprising. I'm an analyst. So that's monitoring portfolios, looking at data in Excel, reading legal documents, and preparing committee reports is very much analytical and detail oriented work, which I really enjoy.
Excellent. Over to you, Karan.
Yeah, so I sort of fell into credit research actually. I started out of university as a credit trading intern at Mizuho. And right at the end of my internship, I ended up doing a bit of credit research and I absolutely loved it. I mean, very similar to what Matt and Sarah said, the highly analytical aspect of the job. It's very enjoyable. It's very gratifying as well. So I've been doing that since, so sort of end of 2021. Since then, I've been doing credit research, and I did my first exam actually I did my first exam in August 2022, and my last exam was February last year. And I really wanted to do the CFA just to get very, very good grasp on the different aspects of the financial industry, understand a bit more about the fixed income space as well, a bit more of the intricacies that maybe you wouldn't necessarily learn in a bachelor's degree. And in terms of the day-to-day of my job, sort of, looking at a lot of things really, rating models, financial models, valuations, and speaking with, having internal meetings, external meetings, speaking with PMs, uh, formulating and suggesting trade ideas to them, whether that's relative value trade ideas or fundamental based ones. And yeah, just sort of doing credit reports on each of the names that I follow. So that's a sort of brief overview of my role.
Gosh, you went through the CFA program extremely fast there. So August, what, the following May, level two, and then the
Yes.
following February, level three.
Yes, I did.
Gosh.
I wanted to get it sort of done as quick as I could. Really, I brought
Right.
a bit more time in when you're younger, so might as well.
Well, there you go. I certainly took me a bit longer than that to do it. So let's dig right in and talk really get into the meat of this, talking about the job role. So let's start with questions on the structure of the credit ratings profession. So somebody's asking, what is the difference between a credit rating analyst and an equity research analyst?
So I think both roles involved financial analysis, but their output and focus are quite different. Equity research analysts typically provide buy and sell recommendations for stocks. Their main goal is to guide investment decisions by identifying potential opportunities and evaluating the growth of companies. Whereas on the other side, credit rating analysts are responsible for assigning credit ratings, as our job role suggests. So our focus is more on assessing risk rather than evaluating potential. Um, and I think that's also coming from a rating agency background. I think Karan may have a different view on this, but we look at the likelihood of default and the issuer's ability to meet financial commitments. So we're really focused on the debt side. So even though both roles might analyze the same financial statements, the approach is different. Credit rating analysts concentrate on risk assessment and credit worthiness. It's a slightly different way of looking at the same data.
Someone's asking, what skills and attributes should you focus on developing to be a successful credit rating analyst?
My personal opinion here is that the number one is it's intellectual curiosity. So really the desire to understand something, to find the right answer. I think that's really important.
Mhm.
I think at the rating agencies, we're really collaborative. So being able to work on a team and also do what's right since we're regulated. I think there's a high kind of ethical bar working at rating agencies. Um, and I actually I spoke to our recruiters, so I was curious for their perspective as well, and they said really different sectors, different coverage universes require different skills and experiences. Um, and we look for different things when we hire in different roles. So some asset classes may want someone with deeper industry expertise or asset expertise if there's something like securitization or something like that. Um, for corporate ratings where I work, I don't think you necessarily need a ton of credit experience. When you're first joining, we have the criteria, we have training. I think really just the intellectual curiosity is really what propels you in this role. Um, Having the technical knowledge, I think, is really important though, as kind of a basis. The financial statement analysis, I think that's a core skill, and that's really why we have a lot of people in the CFA program or coming out of the CFA program because of that technical knowledge. Um, so if you're interviewing at a credit rating agency, I think it's good to know what a rating is, what role it plays in the markets, but really, I think if I always go back to we need to want to learn, you need to have that intellectual curiosity.
It's funny at CFA Institute, we view curiosity as the number one thing that employers look for in finance. Quite kind of interesting. It echoes with that what you say. That's really good to hear. So we've got lots of questions on entry level roles, which is perhaps unsurprising. So someone's asking, what are the most common ways to land a credit rating role? Let's actually go straight back to you, Karan, because I think you're the most recent graduate. So what do you think are the most common ways into the credit rating business or the credit analysis business?
When it comes to the sort of the buy side, it's a lot less structured than you'd see on the sell side. So particularly when you look at hedge funds and PE firms, I would say if you look at pension companies, those could be a little bit more structured, and you might find dedicated programs where they train you. But when you're looking at the hedge funds and PEs, VCs, that kind of world, then you really want to be, almost sending them trade ideas via email or cold calling them, that kind of thing. It's a lot more proactive, a lot more difficult. And yes, I mean, it does help to know somebody in those kind of sectors. But looking at, some of the skills that you need or some of the things, a typical background might have, I'd look at a classic STEM degree, some kind of certification, like,
Mhm.
for example, the CFA, and some of the softer skills, communication skills,
Mhm.
management. You should know modeling. Um,
Mhm.
those are some of the sort of key skills to know there. And yeah, unfortunately, it's not highly structured, the recruitment process on the buy
Mhm.
side, but it's it is doable.
Got it. Okay, very good. So let's wrap up and talk about CFA program and the credit rating role, and then we'll go to Q&A. So someone's asking here, how does a CFA program help me be a top-level credit rating analyst? So Matt, I think you mentioned that S&P Global does pay a lot of heedance to CFA charter on resumes. So what role do you think the CFA program itself can play in terms of skill development for a credit rating analyst?
Sure. Yep. Thanks, Rob. Um, I wrote down 4 things in prep for this one because I think it is a number of different ways. So I think the obvious benefit is the technical knowledge and the nomenclature that you accumulate just by studying the materials, being involved, and that helps you understand and analyze the financial statements and the debt transactions. Also, at the rating agencies, at least what I found is I had a lot of responsibility at a junior level. I also look young, um, and you're often a lot younger than your clients. So I think the CFA charter gives you some instant credibility with your clients. I think it also shows your colleagues that and when you're interviewing, that you're committed to
Mhm.
being an analyst, to this profession. Um, and then lastly, I think just looking at what the program offers after you have your charter, and I guess and during it as well, the various education and networking opportunities. And there's local societies, things like that, to continue to network and advance your knowledge and you know advance your understanding of the markets.
It's a nomenclature, commitment, gravitas, and networking. Big benefits that come from it then. Very good. Okay, someone else is asking, if I have both a bachelor's and a master's in finance, what's the benefit of doing the CFA program on top of this field? So I guess someone's asking, can you be two credentials? So Karan, let's go to you on that one.
Yeah, so there definitely is benefit. I have seen, for example, um, where I work itself, all of the analysts are required to either have the CFA or be working towards the CFA. You can't, maybe you can't necessarily say that for a master's, but there definitely is a benefit to doing the CFA. In terms of what's sort of better or what extra you gain from a CFA over a master's, particularly now with the updated curriculum, you can tailor it to your requirements a lot more now. So you can choose exactly which pathway to go down, and that sort of enriches your own learning, where you want it to be enriched.